And we're live. What's up, guys? Hey, it's me, the professor. I want to show you guys how much weight I've lost in 6 weeks of doing intermittent fasting. And I've been doing my classes in the mornings with everybody in the neighborhood. I guess that's how you get to know people. Anyway, I've gotten to know a lot of people doing classes. It's helped me out tremendously as far as emotionally because we're doing 7 minutes of meditation and just non-religious, non-Buddhism, none of that stuff. And we've been finishing it off with Psalms 135 using my Serbian Orthodox music. Serbian Orthodox music is very pretty because it's all just there's no instruments. It's beautiful, beautiful singing. But anyway, it's really good if that's what you like to listen to after you go to the gym. See, some people like to get pumped up before they go to the gym. You got your headphones in, you got the perfect songs, and right when you're about to hit that rep, you have the perfect song at the perfect time, and then you explode on it. And I love that feeling, and it does help. And then afterwards, in order to de-escalate or decelerate, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't want to sound smart, you guys. I'm not gonna play that game. But anyway, if you just want to decompress after work, after you get off work, or if you after the gym, what you would do is listen to stuff that you're not used to listen to, getting pumped up to go to the gym. In other words, I mean, some people that box particularly like to listen to Eminem because of that particular, or they listen to 50 Cent because of the rhythm used in boxing is perfect for Eminem or 50 Cent. If you like metal, there are certain kinds of metal that is perfectly made to sound that's perfect to box to because and then there's just a number of genres of music that actually help you psychologically to just give it all you got. So, but that's training, and tonight I got to watch my training in vivo. What's up, brother? I got to watch my student get his ass handed to him. And just so you guys know, I work with alcoholics and drug addicts and people like that. That after they get out of the AA jail, as they put it, they typically have nowhere to go. And so I've had guys stay here at the fire academy for like a month. Um, and a lot of them have alcoholism untreated, and they've probably been in the AA jail for a year, and they know all the games and know all the tricks, and so they go through the whole, they're reading the big book and they're reading the Bible while they're in the rehab, and the minute they get out of the place, and out goes the Bible, and in goes the crack stem. So it's always the same old story. But a lot of these guys, while they're in the AA jail, were training with me, just physical exercise because they only had a small space. It was not even the size of like a 4-car garage. And there's like 30 something guys. So I was thinking, I watched a movie about World War II. It was called The Dirty Dozen. It was about these 12 criminals that they pulled out of jail that were in physically top condition, were very smart, and were good with weapons. And, they were basically fearless uh, people that went in and didn't have any rank and just went in and did special ops. And it was called The Dirty Dozen. It was a great movie. If you've not seen it, it is an old black and white film that is fantastic. The Dirty Dozen. I highly recommend that movie. And it was the all-star cast of the time, that if you were to look at the uh, who was it? The Expendables. Okay, that would have been like the Expendables in the 1940s, like the tough, war-hardened, World War II guys. Great movie, but I was like, what a great concept because some dudes that have been in jail or been in rehab or been in the military or been in some kind of like first responder job know how to handle stress and know how to fight and learn how to fight through disciplined training and not just, showing up for a Krav Maga seminar on the weekend and walking away with a T-shirt thinking that you're a fucking expert, because you're gonna get hurt if you do try and shit. And see, tonight I got to watch men full of emotional rage over a woman. And I knew it was over a chick. And so my student comes here, bangs on the door, and so I'm on the balcony. I have just the first floor balcony. And so I'm up there and I'm judging this whole thing. This is on the sidewalk in front of my house. And so the student's like, got a machete. And I'm like, what the fuck has he got a machete for? Like, why do you have a machete? Put the machete down. Takes his phone out, puts it there. These other guys come running at him. They got a fucking plank of wood in their hand. And they're gunning. But what they did do was listen to my commands, because they all weren't going to attack him, because I had already in my mind saw that, you know, he had become a threat to one person. And so the rest of them were also hurt by this person. These are all kids that drink together and do, you know, smoke weed or whatever. And I'm positive that some of them do coke together. And that is a very, very malevolent drug. And if you guys have never done cocaine before, it's one of these things that it's a relationship killer. It's a job killer. I mean, people, I have never seen, and I'm telling you guys from personal experience, having had people in my own family die, you know, from mixing cocaine with painkillers, and having a drug dealer stick a gun to my mother's head and demanding $10,000 from her father to pay for their cocaine bill. So yeah, I've got some experience having dealt with people who are hooked on fucking cocaine. And so it's not a good drug, and I understand why people would fucking do it. You always just want more. And I've seen and heard stories just of not just the prostitution, but the extreme paranoia and the drugs that are mixed and all that stuff. It's so sad, because I thought that shit was gone, man, in the 80s. I thought that was gone for sure. And they're talking about people bringing it back, making it hip. What the fuck are you talking about? That's terrible. That was like an addictive drug. It was a hardcore addictive drug, made people go cuckoo. And they always wanted it. And you'd see people like digging in the fucking ground and stuff on the street. Not a good drug. So I've had to deal with people who are coming from that world. That's not a very happy world to be a guy to operate, because listen, it's hard enough for men in this world. It's even fucking harder when you've had drug addiction, alcoholism in your family, and you drop even further down on the scale. You drop even further down the scale. So, like I said, it's hard enough it is to be a man in this world. It's hard enough. But imagine compounding the problems that men have with adding drugs to it and drinking to it, and the inability to know how to fight. Because then what happens is that drunks and alcoholics usually get emotional and respond very strangely to that sort of thing, conflict. And people who don't know how to fight can do damage to themselves and hurt other people, and hurt themselves, but hurt other people in ways that they didn't expect to hurt people. Like, it's not like it is in the movies in Street Fight. And they are pumped up with adrenaline and all this stuff, and see people that train and know how to fight and that spar all the time. If you spar a lot, street fights don't hurt your feelings. Even if you get whacked a few times, it actually feels okay. I'm actually serious. You need to get punched in the face. If you have never had yourself, every man needs to be punched in the face at least once in their life. And listen, guys, take a look around you in this world. You need to know how to defend yourself, if nothing, because if you can defend yourself for 30 seconds, which is what I watched outside tonight. I watched my student against 4 guys who are wrestling this machete away from him. All of them were drunk as shit, but he instinctually knew how to cover up when they were punching him and they were kicking him and stuff. And he was punching back with one hand and the other hand, the machete. So once they stole the fucking machete from him, they had him on a mount. But he was calm. He was totally calm, and he was taking shots, but he was taking them. And he, after it was over with, he got right the fuck back up, and he went running looking for them. And you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, no, you need to go home. You need to go home. He's writing me. He's like, he's angry. He's pissed off. He's like, I know he was expecting to come here to the academy for me to go do a Mr. fucking Miyagi and jump out the goddamn Jaguar and jump over the fucking chain link fence and do a backflip and shit and save his ass. But instead, I observed this as the judge. As the judge from above. I'm on the balcony just above their heads, all right, within an earshot. I'm actually giving them all commands because the guy with the pallet, I told him, put that down. You take the machete away from him. And that's what they did. They both did exactly what I said. Then those guys had his fucking legs and he's like squirming all around and shit. But he knew to create a space. He knew that these guys were trying to full mount him, and he created a space, and he's taking shots to the head, but he's also defending himself at the same time. And then what I noticed is that he was actually very relaxed. He was drunk as fuck, so he was probably relaxed as shit. So anybody can sit for 30 seconds and take shots and not get tired. And I don't give a shit how many people you're fighting against. If they are wailing on you and you can defend yourself for 30 seconds, then it's time to fight. Because those guys will be gassed out, especially if they're punching at you using all their muscles, using all their strength, really winding up and haymaking and shit. Because nobody knows how to fight except the Dutch. The Dutch know how to kickbox. There's no question about it. But at least they start training at a young age. A lot of these guys, we're in Mexico, everybody likes to box and likes to watch Lucha Libre AAA and likes to see those guys that are in really good shape physically. Okay? Now, guys, I have been suffering these last few months to try and get down to a really, really, not stage weight. I'm not trying to compete. Fuck that shit. And I'm not juicing. I bought some creatine. I got some pre-workout and I got some whey protein. And it was very, very good. There'll be a 20% off coupon in the description. Anyway, I had a friend show me that the best way to fight is to always be sparring and practicing. Just even if it's not serious, you need to get your heart accustomed to being able to handle 30-second spurts of and that's why when you would see, like MMA fighters that look like they're just slapping each other, that's what they're doing. You see, whenever I throw a punch, it's inside the glove. And what you don't see is that a lot of times I'm just poking with a jab. I'm doing this. Now, you don't see that because you think that my hand is clenched like this in a fist. When I throw a jab, you see that my arm is covering my face, so it's out of the jawline. So if you try and hit me here, when my arm goes out because you think that my guard is down, you're going to hit me probably in the head, but that's okay. Because as long as you're not getting hit here squarely in the jaw, this little zone right here will knock you out quite quickly. And so if you cover yourself like this, which is what this kid was doing basically the whole night, thank God for that. But he was instinctually doing it because we drilled it over and over and over again, keeping your hands here, keeping your hands here. And I'm actually giving him, this is cage fighting, but it's street fighting. He's getting his ass handed to him for something he fucking did, which is another reason why I don't interfere. I was looking at this stuff as the observer, but I'm also looking as a coach from outside of the cage that's watching what can't be more than a 2-minute fight, because fights these are not like bar fights where you've got people flying out of fucking windows and stuff and everybody has all this superhuman ability to throw people and stuff. It doesn't, fighting is not like that. It's not, it's either attack or it's some kind of preparation. And so you really got to ask yourself a question. Let's talk about public fighting, because there's going to be a lot of it that's happening in public as of late that if you're not careful, you can get caught up in. And that this is the scary part, is a lot of these people are carrying knives. I see even the kid that was fighting tonight, he had a knife. He had a machete. When they took away the machete, he had his fucking knife. And he had his goddamn cowboy shit kickers on tonight too. So he was not, and he was tooted the fuck up. I know so. Because these guys, when they get a paycheck, you know what I'm saying, they pay their baby mama and they go to the bar, and then the morning time, they're rolled up on the whole sidewalk in front of the bar still. Like laid, like with their cowboy hats down over their face with something behind their head, laid down like mummies, like in front of the bar. It's hilarious. I saw it in Panama too with the indigenous people. They just pile on top of each other, and they're, you know what I mean? They're like 4 foot nothing. So they just drunk as shit, beat the fuck out of each other. But tonight I had to ask myself the question, if I had interfered like Mr. Miyagi and not allowed this guy to take his fucking beating, which, by the way, I'm going to give you guys a twist of this fight that you're not seeing, and I didn't see it, because we're talking about a group of friends. Okay, they're not strangers. These are not mortal enemies. You know, these are not like gang members or anything. These are people who went to school together, and one of those people was fighting over a girl with this other person. And so, like a good simp enforcer, he decided that he's going to go and fight and argue because this is a bitch and all this stuff. And that means whore, by the way, which hoe. These guys are fighting over a hoe. Fighting over a hoe with machetes. Fighting over a hoe with machete. You know what? It's better to just walk away. So anyway, I somehow instinctually knew just to observe. Now my students mad at me because I did a Mr. Miyagi and jumped down in there and help him. But he didn't see what I was doing from above, which was telling people with the weapons, put those the fuck away. He didn't see that. And you take the machete away over there. And that was, these are people who are not drunk. These are friends of this guy that is seeing him drinking himself to death over a girl. And so my judgment is that of a sober man. Now, just want you guys to know, I haven't had a drink since the 19th of March, 2002. Okay? That was the last time that I was ever put in handcuffs for drinking, being drunk, or being a pain in the ass in public. That was the very last time. And so when I see this, I see myself in them. And there is an instinct in some people who don't know how to fight to jump into fights. Do not interrupt a fight. Don't interrupt the fight. And I'm going to tell you guys something. You tell your woman, always, always, always stand back. Tell your women to stand back. Tell them not to interrupt you when you're fighting. Because what will happen is they'll be pulling on your arms, trying to help you. Hey, puppy, no, don't fight. And she'll be pulling back in your arms, and you're getting wailed on. So I really highly recommend that you do not, please do not, interrupt your man when they're fighting. Because what you'll inevitably be doing is getting him hurt by them, and he will not stop fighting because he can't hear you. And so this has happened on me on more than one occasion. Okay, no, right now, the Rockera knows better. She does not, she knows better. Do not, in any circumstances get your hands anywhere near the front of me. If I'm in a fight, do not touch my clothes. Do not touch my arms. Do not come within 1.5 meters distance, because I do spin kicks and I do kinds of dumb shit that it hurts people so quickly and it surprises them so fast, and Charlie horses them and knocks them to the ground. And that tells them that I'm trained, and unless you want to get hurt and make this the worst 30 seconds of your fucking life, the best thing is to do is to take what I just gave you as a fucking message. Because it's better that I put you in the fucking hospital than it is for me to put you in a cemetery. And I'm not saying that to be a badass. And I'm not trying to impress anybody saying, oh, I'm this big shot, fucking tough guy. This has nothing to do with gutter bravado. This has to do with your ability to last for about 30 seconds while someone is hitting you with their fists or their elbows or kicking you. And I'm talking about just being able to cover up long enough for them to get tired. That means that you need to keep your eyes open when you're defending yourself. Listen to how Bruce Lee, and if some of you guys might be some of those old Kung Fu fans. We all know now that Kung Fu does not work against Jiu-Jitsu or MMA or any of this stuff. So it is very cool to practice, and we probably did it as kids. And we actually probably learned how to do dubbed over recordings and so on. And so I would enjoy watching Kung Fu as a kid. And we would probably practice these moves, thinking that they were effective when they ended up not being. They're very, very showman and so on. And yeah, you could probably whip someone's ass who is not trained and doesn't have that ability to fight, in the middle of conflict and to stay calm and to be able to understand that all we're doing is sparring. It is not something to take emotionally. When someone comes at you when you are fighting in the street, that if you only pretend that you are sparring with somebody, you need to be faster than them, watching their hands, make sure they don't have weapons. If this is just a one-on-one street fight where you're in a position where you are being hit or you're being struck or your girl is in danger or whatever, you're going to have to know how to cover your face, to cover the area in this area of your jawline to keep you from getting knocked out in the street by accident. The other thing is how you land on the ground if you get tripped, because a lot of times you trip. The grounds are not even. Sometimes you'll trip and fall and you'll whack your head and stuff like that. That is where you need to learn how to fall backwards. So there's a lot of other nuances to fighting other than just striking. And like I said, and I can give you, like I said, the very best message I can give you is that if you can try starting out with just walking. If you live near hills, walk on hills for 18 minutes a day. If you can walk on an incline for 15%, 15% is pretty high, on a treadmill, you want to try and do that for 40 minutes every single day. All you're going to do is walk. If you want to add a backpack to it, it's going to be very uncomfortable. But I just say all you got to do is just at not a heavy pace, just walking. There are different configurations to your feet. You can, I like to call the runway walk, like where you put one foot in front of the other. That's a really good way to get your legs in shape and your cardio up in order to do this kind of fighting, because you need to have high cardio to do any kind of Muay Thai, any kind of kickboxing, boxing, and running sucks. So the second thing I do is called Tabata training. You can actually download a Tabata timer, and there's also a link in the description here also for a Tabata timer in the Google and App Store and the Apple Store. And all you got to do is just use these timers, and you do 20 seconds of work and you rest for 10 seconds. And you want to go hard as possible for that 20 seconds. And so by the time you're done, 4 minutes into this thing is the same as doing close to an hour of cardio. So as you can see, I've gotten shredded again, and I'm really down in weight. I've lost a lot of weight in my face, But I mean, right now I'm recuperating and stuff like that. So I'm going to volumize again. But I definitely have been committed to doing these classes because I found that if you have any kind of diagnosis, of any kind of medical diagnosis in the past 10 to 15 years for any kind of mental problem, what they don't tell you is that you can go to the gym and get a lot of those necessary brain hormones happening if you are depressed or have anxiety or have nightmares. If you have PTSD, did you know that if you do hard work in the gym, you can't tell, I can't tell you slimmed down. You can tell. I'm okay. Okay. I'm gonna listen. I always tell you guys everything that I do, so that if it works for me, I will tell you how to use it, how to do it, whatever, whatever. Because I have been given so much knowledge, you guys, and now I'm being able to teach other people all this other stuff. For the first time in my life, I'm feeling very, very just clear headed for a long, just, you have to realize we recover from the seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. Alcoholics and drug addicts tend to get brain damage and don't know how to fix it because they don't go to therapy. And so I found out that even going to the therapy alone is not enough. That if you go to the gym and you work out hard, you'll get dopamine rushes and stuff like that. Also, if you don't fuck around on your phone all day, I told some, well, whatever. I don't want to talk about that. But I just say, if you can manage to defend yourself for 30 seconds from somebody who's really coming at you, like really hitting you, and I would let them. You need to get used to sparring and getting hit right here, just getting just nailed and getting used to that. Now, I'm not telling you to go get concussions or anything stupid, so that you can be used to being able to defend yourself for 30 seconds. If you can defend yourself for 30 seconds, that person will be tired. Then it'll be time to fight. Then you can just practice what you've been taught. And you'll be able to do it because by then they'll be tired. They'll be trying to clinch with you. And you don't want to get them in the clinch. They're going to be all sweaty and shit. Stay back. Come back. You're going to fake on them. You're going to pair. And you're just going to wallop them. And then you're just going to pick your targets. You're going to shoot for the liver a few times. You're going to give them a couple of fucking tasters of what he's been missing out on. And you're going to be using that slap technique I told you about too. Because at this point, a lot of dudes just give up. Because once they realize, oh no, I just pounded on this guy, and for who knows how long, now I'm tired, now my arms hurt, now I'm gassed out, and now he's fucking hitting me easily. And so what they tend to do is they end up, turtling up. And when they do that, they look down, and that's when you come in with your uppercuts. And that is about the time that their jawline suddenly says good morning to their upper lip. And so you could really just end a fight with that one punch alone, just because the amount of power that you can gravitate from the floor to the jawline, if hit correctly, because they're not looking. They're anticipating jabs. And if you're going to jab at them, they're going to anticipate jabs. They're going to cover up. The minute they do that, bam, you're going to hit them in the jaw. You're going to come around, you're going to hit them in the liver. Liver shot is probably going to make them fold like a fucking sheet. Fold right in half. And then once they go down, you have to decide at that point how brutal you really want to be. Like, if you want to be, one of these brutal fight finishers, then yeah, you would overhand right, or you would probably use an elbow and finish it and stamp it. If you're one of these, but that's the thing, is that this at this point goes beyond just being self-defense, and then it becomes like close to fucking homicide. So you have to really be careful at that point. If you are dominating in the fight, is what I say, instead of really going for knockouts, I would go for more disabling hits, because you could really give. If any of you guys was in school and got Charlie horses, like someone punch you in the fucking leg as hard as they can and give you a big ass Charlie horse in the leg, what happens is you can't walk. That shit hurts like fuck. And it is like it's a couple of days where your leg is so swollen and you have this big knot in your leg. Well, those are very easy to give, just one hit directly into the quadricep in the side of the leg is enough to really disable a person from fucking walking or even attacking you in any way. Because at that point, if somebody is attacking you and you can defend yourself for 30 seconds, they'll be so fucking tired at the end of 30 seconds, because remember, we're training in 30-second rounds over and over and over again. 30-second rounds. We're doing breath exercises where you're holding your breath. So you're constantly getting that cardio that you need in order to defend yourself long enough to make your enemy tired and then want to give up once you start wailing on their fucking ass. So this is why I always say, every time you guys see these stupid ass street fights where people are literally flailing on each other like this, you can see the people who know how to fight, who know they're keeping their hands close and their guard in tight, and they're taking steps forward, they're taking steps back, and their arms are not, they're not being predictable. But the other people are so predictable that it's easy. It's like fighting with children at some point, if you are accustomed to sparring. And like I said, when you're doing sparring, you need to communicate with the people you're sparring with. We're not in here to kill each other. What I'm doing is I'm going to be in here playing, and I'm going to try and slip past you and then shock you with a couple of this and that. And I'm not going to hit you hard. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is you need to get used to getting hit in the face. And if you're wearing headgear, it isn't that bad. Mouth guard, you're good to go. You won't have loose teeth like I do. And you'll be able to determine at that point, especially in a street fight, at what point do you engage? Like they said, if this is involved with you, an attacker is threat is real. They have suddenly engaged. Suddenly they put their hands on you, and then it's go time. That is the point where you need to decide, do I need to use my leg left? My left leg has been referred to as the meat grinder, and the right leg has been referred to as the cemetery. So there is one or the other that you're going to get if I get into the range of distance that I need just to hit you. Like I said, when you were in school and someone did a Charlie horse on the side of your leg and it gave you a big old knot, you couldn't walk. Like I said, you can learn these kicks, and it's just going to disable the person who's attacking you. Small or big person, as long as you can get that bone, that blade of the bone to go across and hit the exact spot on the quadricep that causes that blood and that nerve pain to react the way it does, it's very, very disabling. And that would be, like I said, one of the things that would make people stop immediately. That's one of those things that hurts so fucking bad. It's not like a lever shot. Guys, I want to get this right. This is physical, and then there's nerve pain. And when you hit somebody in the liver, which if you always paid attention to everything I've taught you guys about doing liver shots, you need to constantly remember that this is always going to be a left hook or a left jab that is going into the liver, which is the zone on the you-know-where side. Okay, so here is the right side of you. On the right side of you, if you take your hand and go right under your rib cage on the right side, right there is your liver. Now, what I would like to do and teach you how to do is how to properly connect where, okay, just so you see.
All right, this portion right here. All right, look. Are you seeing? Showing you. Look, this part right there on the corner, right there, right next to the belly button. Okay, you see the ab? Right there is where you're gonna hit as hard as you fucking can. Okay, there's a set of ribs. Okay, right there guarding part of the liver. And you want to zoom in because it's a triangle shape. Okay. Everybody's liver is on the same side. So you always know exactly where the liver is. When a person's hands are up here and they're throwing their hands up here like this, and like I said, if this person is throwing haymakers, that's where they wind up and take all their power and just, Superman at your ass and bloom, try and hit you like that. Is that you very calmly can, like I said, if you're used to sparring, you're going to be having your eyes front because now you're at the point you're not afraid of anything. You're not afraid of being hit in the face. You look forward to it. When you do get hit, it's not like, going to kill you. And it's not going to knock you out. What it is going to do is sting your skin a little bit. Maybe it's going to jar your face a little bit. If you get hit right behind the ear with a very hard palm like this, like palm creation style, like Bas Rutten, then you could really clean someone's clock right here, hitting them right behind the ear. Also, this also prevents you from breaking any of your fingers because a lot of people who don't know how to box don't know how to hit. So when they hit, a lot of times they're using all their power and they're smashing these two bones into other people's faces or wherever, and they're breaking this bone right here. That's why they always call that the boxer's knuckle, because it's a boxer's break, because the bone breaks right in between there. Because what's happening is that having been an untrained person who doesn't know how to throw a punch, what you figure that, how I do is wind up and use all my muscular power for my biceps and my bench press, because that's all I ever fucking do in the gym, and then throw an emotional punch by winding up way the fuck back here and throwing it like I'm in a fucking movie. And then hoping for the best because they always land right there and they always knock them out. So you have the zone here. This is a triangle that is on the right here on this zone right here. There are buttons right throughout here that can cause, if hit directly into this section right here perfectly, that will knock a person out temporarily. It's not going to kill them, but it'll make their feet and their legs all wobbly, and it'll make them, see in the dark, and they'll be seeing in a tunnel. So you understand that all you need to do is defend yourself for 30 seconds and learn these two punches or kick. And the kick is disabling so they can't run after you. And that is for people that are just, deliberately trying to injure you. These aren't things that you go and bully people with. Obviously, if you practice these things, you learn them perfectly. And once you become good at them, then you learn to deploy them. When you're showing how, because people usually in the street don't know how to fight. Nobody knows how to fight. Watch these stupid videos of people getting in fights in the fucking airport. Look at these people getting into fights in fucking Walmart. And it's terrible because they think their mouth, and they see their hearts racing and all that stuff. They got 180, pulses, 180 beats per minute. They're going, they're sweating like a pig. They can't yell because they're out of breath. They can't argue if they're out of breath. So here's my test for you. And I will talk about this next time because I really want you to get down on that cardio. Get into just getting into a little bit of cardio every day. Then if you're at the point where you can actually go and trot, trotting, not on a treadmill, just trotting maybe around 2 or 3 blocks. And doing this for 18 minutes a day, just 18 minutes per day at a random pace. you don't need to wear the weighted vest or none of that shit, not yet. Because you want to ramp this up as you're going, as you monitor your lung health. Because I'm going to tell you, you got to get some new teas to clean out all the mucus that's in your lungs. You got to get all the natural antibiotic foods to get all of the parasites out of your body. You and I both all had sushi, and if you've had sushi, you might have parasites. So it will affect your brain if you have parasites. Your gut affects your brain. So you got to handle these things because it causes guys to get emotional. And when masculine men get emotional, they usually get bust out a can of whoop ass. And so if that's your thing, yes, that's fine. And I look forward to that. Tonight, I was fortunate enough to be able to watch one of my students get his ass kicked. He got his ass kicked. He was outnumbered by people. Not everybody was hitting him, but it was a group of guys that had a fucking problem with him. And so, as an observer, I was able to watch him defend himself good enough to get the ass kicking that I understand that he deserved without me stepping in and interfering. So now this leads me into my second portion of this, and that is about at what point are you a simp enforcer? What point are you stepping in front of the cars for women in order to, and for their honor? No need to explain this to me. There's no need to explain. But at what point are you seeing a girl getting into something in an argument in a Dunkin' fucking Donuts with somebody and she's showing her fucking ass? At what point do you step in there and she's throwing bows and shit? At what point do you jump in there and say, bitch, thank you so much? At what point do you jump in there and say, bitch, at what point do you start simp enforcing for somebody that wouldn't defend you for fucking no? No, 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 no. They will run for the hills. They're not there to defend you. They're there to call government daddy on 911 whenever they got a fucking problem. Okay. And so I really want to recommend that you guys learn these simple techniques. And I'm going to go over one more time, or maybe two more times, just so you guys know. If somebody attacks you, this is a situation that is either predictable, you set it up, we're going to fight, we're going to the box, whatever, or someone is attacking you by surprise. Tonight, I got to watch one of my students get his ass kicked, but it wasn't by surprise. He knew he had it coming. He knew he had it coming, but he knew that my secret for defense, especially defense, is 30 seconds. The first 30 seconds, that from the moment that is go, that is if you can defend for 30 seconds without using any energy, these guys are going to use 30 seconds of all this strength missing you. You're going to pair all these punches. You're going to let them hit you a few times. Let them. You're going to learn how to figure out how strong he is. You'll find out real quick just how strong these fucking people are. If they're strong, good. Let them use their strength. Let them get arm pump. If you can, and you want to just toy with them a little bit, and your jiu-jitsu is on point, I'm just going to pretend with you guys for a minute. We're going to go in Fantasyland. If I had that music sound, I would do that shit. Let's say all of in the perfect world are super, super good at Muay Thai kickboxing, super, super good at, weapons disarmament, Krav Maga, but you're actually one of the good ones at it. You're not the showman bullshit. And you're great at jiu-jitsu, but you might be, class A, collegiate fucking wrestler, all-American type of winner, some shit like that. And you are like the perfect athlete. And somebody comes at you in the fucking street, some drunk fucking guy is like, hey, motherfucker, yeah, man, I used to be big too. See, they always, isn't that great? When you start getting in shape, People always say, yeah, man, I used to go to the gym, and they weren't always as big as you. They were always bigger than you, right? They were not even just as big as you. They were just much bigger. I used to be as big as you. No, I was bigger. Remember that big? Remember when I was that big? And they might have been a big ball, a big bag of water too. But that's beside the point. You may be better off being thinner than it is to be bigger as far as heavier. Unless that's your goal is to, be line. If you're a linebacker sized dude, that's fine. That may be your calling. So, but I want to jump back into this because at one point, if somebody insults your woman, are you whooping their fucking ass? Because a lot of times, like Dirty Folks says, and if you guys not listen to Dirty Folks podcast, listen to this. He would say, and he's very much, in tune with what Minister Jab says. And you can't save these souls. They're not your friends. They're not here to help you. And the minute shit goes sideways, they are fucking gone. They're not here to hold you down. No, those days are gone. Those days are over. The days of the ride or die chick is over. OVER. Those days have, you know why? Because that was a chivalrous time. That was a time when we were trained as boys to open the car door for a woman and get ready for the prom and get ready for the $35 crochet, whatever the fuck it was called, I don't remember. We don't know. We didn't use those. But what was the thing that you had to buy the girl, for the prom? It was like the flower thing. And that was like your thing. Simp enforcers don't even have to have a relationship. They will enforce for a woman that's not even theirs. A stranger that may have just broke up with this bitch, and you know what I mean? Maybe she was the Looney Tune in the fucking relationship and she was cheating on him, and now he's whooping her ass in the street. Do you jump into that shit? Because then you'll be simp enforcing. I say stay out of domestic anything. And I got that message clear from a state trooper. He says, listen to me, Chief. You don't always want to help everybody, but you need to stay out of anything that is domestic, especially in Mexico. And the reason why is because none of us know the backstory on why this yapping ass bitch is fucking we don't know. And what's going to end up happening is that they'll give you some fucking crybaby story, and you're going to, by default, want to defend this woman. When the entire time she's playing you like a fiddle and you like a fiddle. And she's playing the guy at the same time. So in a perfect fucking world that we used to live in that had chivalry, we had these days that we could do nice things for girls and they appreciated it. I mean it, guys. We had a thing that was in the 90s. Listen, I was too Mr. Butterflies in the stomach to be able to do some of the shit that you guys tell me about when you were young. Because I was a late bloomer, I guess. I got married young. I said, fuck that shit. I was married for 8 years, and then, poof, off she went. Like, that was it. That was the end of it. And I was a simp for her. And I learned some shit that we're not important to them. They're important to us. We love them. They're not really required to love us. I know that sounds harsh, but we do have an obligation before God to love our wives. So I'm not telling you guys to get married. It would be a good idea if you did. I would recommend that in the event of a collapse that your wife would have some survival skills too. So what I say is that both of you be able to defend yourself for 30 seconds because the enemy would be tired in 30 seconds. Then you can come back, like I said, and learn the liver shot, learn the knockout triangle area on the jawline. If it's in Really, really, like I said, once you're able to learn just a little bit of jiu-jitsu and a little bit of Muay Thai kickboxing in order to defend yourself long enough for these people to get tired and eventually want to just give up. Because once they know, oh, this motherfucker doesn't give up, they're going to lose their confidence and their dopamine level drops out and it's adios. Because then it's time for you to beat on them. Because then you know you're uppercutting to the jawline that I told you about that will connect their jaw to their upper lip. That is enough of a humiliating punch because once their jaw hits themselves like that, they're not wearing a mouth guard. You kidding me? And then you come around, like I said, if you can give them a liver shot, if you can give them a Charlie horse right there in the upper thigh. And I'm telling you guys, go practice this with your brothers or anything, but you're right there on the side of your thigh, right here, on the front end, right here of the thigh. There is a very nice long nerve that goes down in this part of the leg. That nerve right there is right on that tenderloin. It's right on the front the hamstring. That's on the back. Anyway, the front of the leg, the front of the side of the leg. Like I said, if you can nail that right there, with the connect with the bone of your shin, or you can even use your fists, or you can use your elbows, and really drive. Even my elbow it hurts my leg right there. Okay, I'm using my elbow on my leg right there. That's how you measure it out. If you hit right there, boom, as hard as you fucking can with your elbow, that will immobilize a person for fucking days. That shit will hurt so bad they won't be able to walk. It happens immediately. You lose all. Not only do they lose the will to fight, they'll lose the ability to walk. Like that fight is over. They'll stand up and fall right the fuck back down. Now those aren't the most powerful moves. Those are emergency moves. Those are moves that, like I said tonight, I watched one of my students get beat up by a group of kids, like a group of guys. Yep, right in the quads. So you're going to nail those parts. Now, there's also, you can hit in the bicep. I don't know if you guys knew that. You can nail somebody really, really hard right here, okay, just below the shoulder, right in front of the tricep, okay, right there on the bicep. And that will swell a person's arm up about this fucking big. Yeah, it is. And it will also, it might break the arm. It can break an arm. If you have a strong enough punch, you can break an arm. If you punch it exactly right there on this part of the bicep, right there. So those are two things. And like I said, do you want to deploy these tools that I'm saying right now on a certain, because look, at some point you need to realize is that nobody knows how to fight. If they attack you, use these tactics, allow them to hit you, because then you have all this reason in the world, because there'll be people there with their phones. They'll have their phones out. They won't want to help you for shit, and your girl won't either, which is not a good thing. You don't want your woman interfering with a fight. Never let them interfere. In fact, I want to tell you girls, to you guys and you girls tonight, tell your woman, never, if for whatever fucking reason I get into a fight, do not interfere with me if I'm in a fight. Do not interfere with me. Don't get in my way. Don't pull me back. You're going to get hurt. And it's going to be fucked up because I'm going to take all these punches while you're, no, Billy, no, don't get in a fight. You're going to get hurt. And if this person is dangerous, you can't do what I'm trying to tell you to do for the first 30 seconds, which is all I'm doing. You're covering up. You're covering up. You're always maintaining your distance right here. And you're waiting for them. You allow them to hit you so they get tired. Once they're tired, then it's on like motherfucking Donkey Kong. You're going to basically you're just sparring at that point. Or you're just hitting a bag. Because at that point, you know exactly where to hit in the jawline, where to hit on the liver. If you're just trying to damage the nerves, you're going to punch in the fucking legs. There are no rules. We have all been conditioned to believe that if a guy's not wearing fucking glasses, you're not supposed to hit him. If a motherfucker wearing glasses does something that deserves me beating the fuck out of him, or he puts his hands on me, I do not give a fucking rat's ass if he's wearing sunglasses or if he's wearing reading glasses. All right? He knows it's on, because all you got to do is, like I said, a show stopper, meat grinder, one shot to the quadricep with a good round kick, low kick, whatever, that is going to hit that fucking leg and make a person not want to continue doing this shit, because they lose the will to fight once you've injured them to the point where you realize, oh, I'm helpless in this situation. Okay, and that is the what you want. You want that person within the first 30 seconds to believe that you are somehow helpless, because they're pounding on you when they don't realize that you don't give a shit. You don't feel it, because I've taught you how to cover up, how to take those shots. And you're absorbing all those, yeah, you're absorbing them, but they're doing those, they're tiring themselves out because they're using all this muscular fight. Then their cardio is way over 135. And that is when you know, tick, 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 it's your turn. So if you have a way to control the wrists, if you have a way to take a takedown, if you have a way to get to the back, if you have a way to take the rear naked choke, quicken, making this real easy. You don't have to hurt anybody. Well, you're not going to be not hurting anybody, but you're not going to be killing anybody. And they're also, if you manage to get them, flatten them out on the ground like a pancake, and you got their knee in their back, they're going to try to get up. And then you're going to take one of the wrists and immediately you're going to put into Kimura, because all you got to do is just, they're going to do it to themselves. And at that point, there's a number of really nasty fucking jiu-jitsu moves that you could do to keep a person mobilized while you wait for the cops, or you're just doing it for fun. So, like I said, there's a number of these things that I would highly recommend, that you would tell your woman that, look, we need to learn how to defend ourselves. So I'm going to go, and I don't give a shit, you guys' egos saying classes are gay. I don't care. Just go to anything that says self-defense classes. You might have them in your gym for free. Bring your girl. Get her hyper-focused on learning how to jab cross. I mean, the basics. Jab cross. The basics. How to do kicks. Anything that would require this person to get beyond the first initial stage. If this person going to attack you and you're not armed with weapons, let's just say hypotheticals here. During the gym, somebody's being a dick. You know how to handle yourself emotionally so that that person looks stupid as fuck, and you're able to isolate them and immobilize them and make them look stupider than they already make themselves with their mouth. So if you're able to manage to do what my student did tonight and really cover up, boom, boom, he's getting pounded by people, like getting kicked. He's getting punched. I saw his head bounce a few times. So I think he did pretty good for, he's only been training for 6 months. Now he's very pissed off at me because I didn't jump in there like Mr. Motherfucking Miyagi and, decide to help him, defend himself for some dumb shit that he did. That's the rule of law around here in Mexico. If you fuck up, you get your ass kicked. So, oh yeah, I didn't know. Yeah. It's not that way in the States. It used to be that way in the States a long time ago. In the military, it still is that way. And I don't tell you about that. But I don't. That's not what we're here to talk about. So, if you at some point get yourself around a woman that's mouthy, and she's gonna mouth, this is the kind of girl that would mouth off to the police. You know what I mean? When you're just trying to get out of the comedy club to get to the fucking parking and get your stupid little, bullshit validated, and she's throwing a fit and she's gonna get thrown to the ground. So you got to learn how to really communicate with your woman, like, this is something that is not acceptable to me in public. that shows a disrespect for me. That means that you don't trust my ability to make decisions for our security. So don't do that shit. Not in front of me. This is not going to work because that is a typical woman who likes to control dudes. That's not what you want. You want a woman who's going to really look up to you, okay, and allow you to take the lead, knowing that you actually don't need too much of a map because you know your way, because they're going to give you wrong directions anyway, and it's going to make you mad. And then it might be a shit test. She might give you wrong directions on purpose to shit test you to see how you respond to her being a dum dum. And that happens. Many men die being simps. Many men throw their ass in front of bullets for women. Take bullets. Don't be a simp enforcer. I know this is going to ruffle your feathers, man, but even being a stepfather, if it's not a widow situation like myself, you got the widow situation, and she has grown kids. Do you take that woman on? Or is it different with a woman who has smaller children that are kids? Like, let's say hypothetically 25, 26, 27. Those are adults. So they're not going to be interfering unless they live with their mom, which in Latin America is, depends on their socioeconomic status. Usually, if they have money, they leave the house eventually. A lot of times they go to the States, and then they get college educated by them. And then they come back to Mexico with know-it-alls. So, or self-righteous and contemptuous of everything Mexican. So, yeah, there's that. So, what I'm saying is that do not simp enforce for people that you do not know. Do not defend women that you do not know. Especially stay away from women with crazy hair problems. Do not get involved in anyone else's domestic situation. This was a message given to me by a state trooper. He told me that the number one cause of fatalities to a domestic abuse call is to the fathers, who are typically innocent, and a lot of times the women are hitting first and the men are just hitting back. But that's not how the world sees it. The world sees it as that the man is an abuser and he needs to be punished. So they call the police to come and do that job, which is to put you in torture cuffs and take you to a place, and immediately upon putting you in a car, you're losing all of your rights as a human being. So, what's up, Professor? What's up, man? Uncle Jackie, always on top, my man. Salute to you. Man, it's all right in the chat. Hell yeah. Thank you, sir. So, if you decide at some point that an ass beating is justified for somebody that has disrespected you, has gotten in your girl's face or something like that, you need to know something that the first person that talks loses. Because now it becomes a negotiation. It's a negotiation of, all right, I'm going to guarantee that you have no chance in hell that you're going to beat me. But there's no real words that are going to break a man's focus from doing exactly what he wants to do. Words don't do that. Women at that point too lose all control, and they're doing the swim. They're doing this and they're pulling hair. They do not know how to fight either. Which is why I say step the fuck back from any fight. From any fighting situation, step the fuck back, because you don't know the situation. And a lot of times, a lot of people get shot during crossfires. Now, fortunately, here in Mexico, as crazy as it sounds, not everybody has a gun. Not everybody carries a gun. And not everybody needs to. And if you know how to defend yourself against an attacker, you would also know how to take guns away from people. But if you are in physically good conditions, that is not even going to happen. No, yeah, sure, guys in shape get robbed, but a hell of a lot less. Because if you're a fat piece of shit and you're balling your fucking clothes out and your gold out and your fucking telephone out, someone's gonna fucking notice. And I think this whole peacocking fucking mentality of falling out to impress people that don't like you anyway. We don't give a shit about you. So why are we simping for them? Why are we simping forcing for them? Why are we defending them when they wouldn't defend us for shit? Why are we dying for them? Why in hell would we put ourselves now? I understand, yeah, a lot of you guys force, you're a firefighter because your grandpa was, and you want to help people. That'll change. All these nice do-goody shit you and I talk about will change eventually, brothers. All of this stuff is all part of this show. All of these things that you and I talk about all these days, about how I went through all this, is all part of nothing less than a giant simulation made just for you. And I'm glad to be part of your simulation. You and I probably will never meet. They probably change my face for AI, probably give me a new name, recycle the old guy, and then make a brand new person all over again. But I hope that in this life and in the next, that you would maybe learn something from me, that I could teach you from my own experience, and that is that simps aren't respected. People don't take simps seriously, as you could probably hear in the chat when it's come some guys that are spoiling their girls and all that stuff, talking about him, and he's very effeminate and all this stuff, and he's got lots of money, and she's using for his money. At some point, you're not going to deal with those people anymore. At some point, you're going to be so above them that it's not even, doesn't even make sense to having a conversation about those people that are not on your level. And so I want to break it down for you once again like this. Be able to resist for 30 seconds while someone is hitting on you. Number 2, learn how to always be advancing. Use jiu-jitsu when necessary. Always use the zones here on the jawline and triangle and on the right side, which is the triangle here where the liver is. Use your legs, create Charlie horses, disabling Charlie horses. So you're going to need to practice on a bag. And anyway, so if you have any questions, just check out all my stuff right there in the bottom. I appreciate you guys. I'm the professor, and I'm out.